As Canada approaches the 2025 federal election, Mark Carney, the new leader of the Liberal Party, is asking Canadians for a fourth term to lead the nation. Presenting himself as a fresh face with a financial background, Carney claims he's the right person to guide Canada forward. But beneath the polished promises lies a troubling reality. Carney's leadership is surrounded by a team of Liberal Party members whose actions have betrayed the trust of Canadians, undermined the rule of law, and put innocent lives at risk. This article exposes the convictions and failures of key Liberal Party figures handpicked by Carney to remain in his inner circle, and explains why Canadians should think twice before giving the Liberals another chance. A leader untested, surrounded by failure. Mark Carney stepped into the Liberal Party leadership with no prior political experience, banking on his reputation as a former Bank of Canada governor to win over voters. Yet, his first major test as a leader, handling the scandal involving Liberal MP Paul Chiang, revealed a troubling lack of judgment. Chiang, a sitting Liberal MP and former police officer, openly called for the abduction and handover of a Canadian citizen to a foreign government, which was criticized by the Liberals for human rights abuses. This unprecedented act in Canadian history demanded swift action from Carney to show he respects the rule of law. Instead, he hesitated, failing to publicly acknowledge the seriousness of Chiang's actions or take decisive steps to address them. This wasn't just a one-off mistake. Carney has chosen to keep a roster of Liberal cabinet ministers, past and present, in his Prime Minister's office, despite their documented failures to protect Canadians and uphold the law. These individuals, named in an open letter by retired police officers, Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Paul McNamara, have been accused of serious breaches of national security, misuse of spyware, and violations of Canadians' rights. By keeping these figures close, Carney is signaling that he's willing to overlook their failures for the sake of political loyalty. This alone raises serious questions about his ability to lead with integrity. The Liberal Party's Hall of Shame. The open letter, dated April 12, 2025, lists 9 Liberal Party members whose actions have endangered Canadians and eroded trust in the government. These are not baseless accusations. They're backed by evidence, including documents and communication records, that paint a damning picture of negligence and misconduct. Let's break down who these Liberal figures are and what they've done. Marco Mendicino. As the former Minister of Public Safety, Mendicino failed to protect Canadians abroad from potential arrest and detention by foreign governments. He ignored directives from then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office to address misconduct at the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. Under his watch, both agencies breached laws, policies, and processes, putting Canadians at risk. Dominic LeBlanc. Another former public safety minister, LeBlanc allowed CSIS and the RCMP to misuse electronic spyware against Canadians, violating their charter rights. He failed to hold these agencies accountable for operating in sensitive sectors, like labor unions, and ignored critical national security information withheld by CSIS from an active RCMP investigation. Bill Blair. As Public Safety Minister, Blair authorized CSIS to take extreme actions against innocent Canadians, breaching ministerial directives and the Canadian Charter of Rights. His decisions enabled unchecked abuses of power that compromised citizens' safety. David McGuinty. As Chair of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, NSICOP, and later, Public Safety Minister, McGuinty failed to address CSIS's withholding of critical information from the RCMP. He also neglected to protect Canadians' charter rights and ignored risks to citizens abroad. Anita Anand. As President of the Treasury Board, Anand failed to stop the RCMP's improper use of spyware against a labor union executive during collective bargaining. She allowed the Treasury Board to engage in bad faith negotiations, knowing serious legal breaches had occurred. Stephen McKinnon. As Labor Minister, McKinnon ignored RCMP breaches during labor activities, failing to uphold Canadians' charter rights or investigate violations in sensitive sectors like unions. Melanie Joly. As Foreign Affairs Minister, Joly did nothing to address safety risks to Canadians traveling to China, even after the RCMP and Public Prosecution Service of Canada, PPSC, publicly released unredacted national security documents that put lives in danger. Arif Virani. As Justice Minister and Attorney General, Virani similarly failed to act on the release of these sensitive documents, leaving Canadians vulnerable to retaliation by foreign intelligence agencies. Chrystia Freeland. As Deputy Prime Minister, Freeland ignored reports of labor rights violations, misuse of spyware, and charter breaches, failing to intervene despite her senior role in the Liberal government. These Liberal Party members, many of whom Carney has chosen to keep in his orbit, have been accused of neglecting their duties, breaking laws, and endangering Canadians. Their inaction over 2 years allowed innocent Canadians to be targeted by Chinese intelligence agencies, with some now facing lifelong risks due to exposed covert operations. This isn't just incompetence, it's a betrayal of the public's trust. The Spyware scandal, a violation of Canadians' rights. At the heart of this scandal is the misuse of on-device investigative technology, a powerful spyware tool used by CSIS and the RCMP. This technology, meant for serious cases like terrorism or imminent threats, was deployed against Canadians who posed no danger, including Sergeant Peter Merrifield, a serving RCMP officer and union leader. Merrifield, a witness in an RCMP investigation, had his union's cell phone targeted during collective bargaining, a clear violation of labor rights and ministerial directives. The RCMP knew Merrifield's personal phone was the one relevant to their investigation, yet they deliberately targeted his union devices, accessing privileged bargaining materials. This wasn't an isolated incident. The RCMP also mishandled audit deployment, targeting incorrect phone numbers and compromising innocent Canadians' personal data. CSIS, meanwhile, used audit to spy on Merrifield and others, violating the privacy of foreign dignitaries, cabinet ministers, and even the Prime Minister. These actions, enabled by Liberal ministers like Mendicino, LeBlanc, and Blair, show a reckless disregard for Canadians' rights and safety. The national security leak, putting lives at risk. Perhaps the most alarming revelation is the RCMP and PPSC's public release of unredacted national security documents in October 2024. These documents, which violated Section 38 of the Canada Evidence Act, exposed Canadians involved in covert intelligence operations in China. The leak identified individuals who now face cyber attacks and physical retaliation from Chinese intelligence agencies. Despite warnings from Merrifield and McNamara to Liberal ministers like Joly, Virani, and Freeland, no action was taken to prevent this unprecedented breach. This failure stems from a botched CSIS operation during the Meng Wanzhou crisis, where the agency betrayed its own covert agent and fed false intelligence to the RCMP, the U.S. State Department, and the Prime Minister's office. The RCMP, acting on this misinformation, wrongly linked innocent Canadians to Chinese interference, even dragging the Conservative Party into the mess with baseless allegations. The Liberal government's refusal to address these breaches has left Canadians vulnerable and exposed. Mark Carney had a chance to prove he's different from the Liberal leaders of the past 9 years. He could have acted swiftly to remove Paul Chang and the named ministers from his team, showing Canadians he prioritizes integrity over politics. Instead, he's chosen to surround himself with the same Liberal figures responsible for these scandals. By keeping Mendicino, LeBlanc, Blair, and others in his circle, Carney is endorsing their failures and signaling that he's more interested in power than accountability. Carney's lack of political experience is glaringly evident in his handling of these issues. His hesitation to act on Chiang's actions and his decision to retain ministers accused of serious misconduct suggest he's either unaware of the gravity of their actions or unwilling to confront them. Either way, it's a red flag for Canadians who expect a leader to put the country first. The Liberal Party has had 9 years to prove they can govern with integrity, protect Canadians, and respect the rule of law. Instead, they've delivered a string of scandals, from spyware abuses to national security leaks, that have put lives at risk and eroded trust in government. Mark Carney may promise something new, but his actions tell a different story. By keeping discredited Liberal ministers in his office, he's showing that his leadership is just a continuation of the same old failures. Canadians deserve better. They deserve a government that respects their rights, protects their safety, and holds itself accountable. Voting for the Liberals in 2025 means endorsing a party that has repeatedly failed to deliver on these basic principles. It means trusting a leader who surrounds himself with people like Marco Mendicino, Dominic LeBlanc, and Chrystia Freeland, whose inaction has endangered citizens. It means risking another term of broken promises and betrayed trust. The evidence is clear. The Liberal Party under Mark Carney cannot be trusted to lead Canada. As Sergeant Merrifield and McNamara wrote, "It is never wrong to do the right thing and to earn the trust and confidence of Canadians." Carney has failed to do the right thing, and Canadians should respond by voting for change. Say no to a 4th Liberal term. Canada deserves a government that puts its people first. The time for complacency has passed. Canada stands at a crossroads, and the path forward requires courage from its citizens. The evidence laid bare in this article is not just a collection of accusations. It is a clarion call for accountability and change. Mark Carney and the Liberal Party have consistently demonstrated a troubling commitment to their own political ambitions over the safety and trust of Canadians. This betrayal cannot go unchallenged. As we approach the 2025 federal election, Canadians must stand united in demanding transparency, integrity, and respect for the rule of law. Let us not allow another term of incompetence and negligence. We owe it to ourselves and future generations to ensure that our government prioritizes the people over political loyalty. What do you think about this situation? If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. How do you feel about the corruption within the Liberal Party of Canada? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Additionally, if you want to stay informed and engaged, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we would really appreciate it if you did. Your voice matters, and together we can shine a light on the issues that mainstream media chooses to bury. Share this post with your network. Let's make sure that the truth about our government and its failures is widely known. Canada deserves better.